ladies semi-final night. What a fortnight we've had so far here on, of course, what is the first major of the season. And the lady in your picture about to experience something new tonight. Paula Badosa playing in her very first Grand Slam semi-final. The Spaniard has been outstanding all week. But tonight she will take on her very good friend, Aryna Sabalenka, of course, the two-time defending champion. Nick Lester is my name. Andrea Petkovic is alongside me. Petko, good evening.
Good evening. This is so exciting, Nick. I love both of these semifinals constellation. I think 4 of the best players have made it through to the semifinals. I think we will see brilliant matches tonight. Can't wait, particularly for this one. Paula Badosa, who's played maybe the best match of the tournament against Coco Gauff in her previous rounds. And of course, the defending champion, Aryna Sabalenka on Rod Laver Arena.
Yep, the Spaniards had some tough times over the last couple of seasons. By her own admission, was questioning whether tennis was the way forward for her after the back injury that kept her out of the game for so long. But it's been an impressive recovery.
Absolutely. She thought it was slow. I thought it was very quick, considering how difficult and complicated that lower back injury was. And it's always, as a player, you're so impatient. But I thought she did brilliantly in her comeback.
These two have spent countless hours together on the practice court. Two very good friends, soulmates in many ways, as Sabalenka described them the other day. But this evening, friends will become foes here on the Rod Laver Arena.
And she gets the win, Paula Badosa.
Oh, hasn't she done well?
Her first semi-final here at the Australian Open.
Aryna Sabalenka.
Absolutely dominant performance.
A two-time defending champion survives.
Sensational stuff, Madison Keys. Into the semi-finals of the Australian Open.
For just the second time in her career, Iga Swiatek is an Australian Open semi-finalist.
This is women's singles semi-final action. Please welcome to Rod Laver Arena from Spain, Paula Badosa. And their opponent, the reigning Australian Open champion, Aryna Sabalenka.
Striding out onto a stage where she has enjoyed so much success in recent times. Looking for a three-peat here in Melbourne, something that hasn't been achieved for quite some time. Standing in her way. The Spaniard that will return to the top 10 after her run this week. Easy to forget, Petko, that she's been as high as number 2 in the world, Paula, as well.
It is easy to forget, and what I really liked is that she said she thinks she's a better player today than she was when she was ranked number 2, and I agree with her fully, and it's nothing to do with her tennis, but all with her emotional maturity and the growth she's shown.
We're going to do the coin toss. Paula, this is Celeste. Yeah, 4 and bananas. 1 or 2 bananas. So ladies, same conditions in previous matches, just a few reminders. If I can ask you to use the red, please, for the towel boxes. And blue, please, Aryna. Blue, blue. Shot clocks are in the normal positions. Do you have any questions, ladies? Okay. Paula. Ayo. Leo. Serve. Okay, if we could just have a photo facing that way. Paula, serve, yes? Thank you, you're going this way.
Yeah, arguably the biggest night in her professional career so far. And she is having beaten Coco Gauff. In fact, the first time she's beaten a top 10 player at a major This would be some win if she could beat Goff, Sabalenka and possibly Swiatek in the final, if that's the route. That might be the best run through to win a major in some years.
I agree. If she was to pull that off, that would be definitely the best run, at least in the last decade or so.
You referenced the fact you think she's a better player, Petko. Why? What elements do you think have improved from where she was a couple of years ago?
Well, I think that she has a clearer plan of what she wants to do. I felt like even when she was #2 in the world and was playing fantastic tennis, she would sometimes show up and play very defensively and defend a lot, and other times she would almost be a big hitter who goes for everything. And it seems like she has found the perfect balance right now between her defensive skills and her offensive skills, and everything sort of came together in that match against Coco Gauff. Plus the emotional maturity, where she's been so resilient and tough throughout this tournament here. I thought always that was her only weakness, quote unquote, if we can talk about weaknesses with these top athletes, but her only little Achilles was that she could be emotionally unstable sometimes, yes.
Yeah. And let's be honest, we could say a similar thing about Aryna Sabalenka. It could be 3 or 4 years ago. It feels like a long time ago now, but she certainly shored things up in that department, as we can see. The lady who's won 18 career titles. We referenced the fact a couple of those have come here. Majors have been phenomenal, really. Even last year, just one defeat at a major. That was to Mira Andreeva at Roland Garros. What have you made of her tennis so far from what you've seen here this week, Petko?
Well, it's very obvious that she's not as dominant as she was last year. But then again, last year was a run of the century. Talking about run of the century, she was 3 classes above the rest of the draw here last year, so it was almost impossible to even hang with her. It's a different story this year. She had to come back from tough situations in the second round and the third round, was down 5-2, 5-3, and then eventually lost a set against Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova. I do think it shows the growth that she has gone through, that she is able to find solutions in these difficult moments, whereas, as you mentioned, 3-4 years ago, she might have self-destructed and gone out early.
Absolutely. There's the numbers so far. She has been broken a lot more. Her serve has been under a little bit more pressure this week than it has been in the previous couple of years. We'll dive into the numbers in a moment. Let's go courtside, because Laura Robson is sitting front and center for us. Evening to you, Laura. Just give us a sense of conditions, because it's pretty cool out there tonight.
It's cool, but I'm happy to say that the wind has died down, especially compared to last night. It is a lot easier for the players to try and hit through the court. Conditions are certainly going to be slower out here than we've seen throughout the tournament when the court's been heating up. But it's, for me, a question of who can hit through the baseline at the moment. Big cheer for both players, but yeah, I think Sabalenka looking in great form. I'm wondering, Andrea, if you think it's easier to play a friend in this situation or harder?
That's a really good question. I think it's, I don't want to say harder or easier, but I do think it's awkward. And these players will tell you, no, it's just another match, it's just another match. But I played Angie Kerber, who was a very close friend of mine, and happy to report, still is. Even though she's beat me a million times. It is always awkward. I think those things settle after 3-4 years. 3-4 games, I meant to say. But it is awkward in the beginning, just from a strategic point of view, because you know what their favorite shots are and where they like to go. And it's almost like it becomes like a chess game where you have to think three
shots ahead.
Three shots ahead, exactly.
You played one major semi-final, Petko, at the French Open. How does this differ from Badosa here tonight? Obviously, the match, I'm sure in her mind, she's trying to think of it as just another match. But what's different when you get to a major semi-final?
So for me, I really felt how the tension and the attention, both attention and tension, exponentially rose with the semi-finals. It wasn't double, it was quadruple from what it had been in the quarterfinals. And for me, it was tough in the first set to handle, and then I settled in the second. But Paula has been in these situations a lot more times than I had, and she will maybe have more experience than I did.
Yeah, and maybe the fact she's playing someone she knows so well might just soften that a little bit. That's very hard to know the answer to, but obviously, as you say, needs to have a long history together. The big names have hung around here in Melbourne as we head towards finals weekend. The roof is open, despite the fact there is a little bit of rain around, has been this afternoon.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
And it will be Paula Badosa to get the first of the semi-finals here in Melbourne underway.